The history of VR technology is full of ups and downs. Several times over the past 3 decades, companies have tried to bring VR products to the market for the mass user. And always great expectations were replaced by disappointment, inconvenient, expensive, or little use. It seems that VR has taken a new turn. After the relaunch of the metaverses by Zuckerberg and the release of Apple Vision Pro, the market once again expects real success from virtual reality, not virtual ones. Are these expectations justified? We are figuring it out. Here's Jack Rudy, and we are starting. The gaming industry is the birthplace of VR and at the same time the area where technology made its first attempts and experienced its first failures. The most famous failure of the early period in this era was the product from Nintendo Virtual Boy, released in 1995. Bulky glasses with built-in displays, an ordinary console joystick, that's all VR. The glasses turned out to be so heavy that they were supplied with a special stand. That is, the head had to be applied to the eyepieces, holding the joystick in his hands. At the same time, the displays inside were monochrome and the graphics were unsatisfactory even for that time. And yet Nintendo managed to release 22 games for the console. Users strongly rejected the Virtual Battle, and it still remains the only new product in the history of Nintendo with sales of less than 1 million units. After Virtual Boy, no one took VR and games seriously for a very long time. It was too expensive, too inconvenient, and not particularly exciting. A truly large-scale attempt to create a VR product for a wide audience was the launch of the Oculus Rift virtual reality helmet in 2012. The relatively inexpensive $600 at the start and lightweight 450 grams helmet collected $2.1 million on Kickstarter and became a hit of such magnitude that the Oculus startup was bought by Zuckerberg's company and competitive offers began to appear on the market. The main ones were HTC with its helmet and Vive controller kit, Valve with the related Vive but more technically advanced and expensive Valve Index, and Sony, which released the PlayStation VR kit for PlayStation 4 in 2016. The success of the Oculus Rift also gave impetus to the development of mobile VR. Glasses began to appear on the market that could be combined with a smartphone and get a virtual experience. The most striking product in this area was the Samsung Gear VR headset, developed by the Korean company together with Oculus and released in 2015. It would seem that the topic is gaining momentum, but after the search organized by Oculus, it quickly became clear that VR technology has become more advanced and technically convenient, but not more accessible. HTC Vive kits cost $800 at the start, and the Valve Index complete with controllers cost $1,000. The same amount was asked at the start for GVR. In exchange for this money, users were offered not so much. Game developers were in no hurry to invest in VR projects until a large number of owners of the necessary equipment appeared, and the number of the latter did not grow, since there was still not much to play. The only company that has found relative success in this field is Sony, but by the time VR was launched, it already had 3 important components of success: a huge base of PlayStation owners, a cohort of talented game development studios ready to make exclusive VR projects, and money that could be invested in the development of such projects. Another relative success in the VR gaming field was the game Half-Life Alyx, released by Valve in 2020 for Valve Index, HTC Vive and Oculus Rift. On the Steam gaming platform, the game has an extremely rare rating of 10 by 10, and this is no coincidence. She is an example of what VR games can and should be. A fascinating plot in the world of the legendary Gossip game franchise, with a unique gameplay that uses all the features of the Valve Index set and the level design that can only be implemented in VR. The game is still considered a benchmark for VR projects, but there is one problem: she is the only one. Definitely Valve tried their best at the development stage and made Half-Life Alyx so cool that it alone could serve a reason to buy expensive VR kits, but the mass distribution of VR still did not happen. As a result, by 2021, 11 years of development of the VR products market resulted in mixed results. On the one hand, the market itself emerged and began to grow. On the other, even in the field of video games, this direction turned out to be a niche. The revolution did not happen. Helmet manufacturers did not see high sales, and Samsung stopped producing GVR altogether. A bleak stagnant situation has arisen. A kind of failure. In 2021, it finally became clear to the world why Facebook bought Oculus. Mark Zuckerberg announced his intention to create Metaverse, the next generation of the internet, the main interface for interacting with which was supposed to be VR. It was assumed that Metaverse would use the technology not only for games, but also for consuming other content, communicating, and working. Since, in addition to VR, the concept of metaverses involves several other potentially profitable innovations, such as tokenization of digital and real assets. At first, the market believed in metaverses and began to actively invest in it. This has had a positive impact, including on the hardware and software market for VR. According to the McKinsey research agency, at the end of 2021, the volume of global investments in VR technologies reached by $32 billion. For comparison, in 2018, this figure was $14 billion. However, the excitement did not last long. Already in 2022, faith in the metaverse began to fade away. Companies that had previously ardently supported the concept began to reduce investments, since users did not rush to massively transfer work meetings and communication to the virtual space. And in the field of fashionable technologies, a new idol was appeared: artificial intelligence. Even Mark Zuckerberg himself, at one of the meetings with shareholders this spring, said that all the company investment efforts would be aimed at developing AI solutions, and not a word about metaverses and VR. As a result, according to information from the same McKinsey published this summer, the volume of investments in VR sector in 2022 has almost halved to $16 billion. This has also affected the market for VR equipment. According to IDC, worldwide shipments of headsets for VR and AR have been steadily declining throughout 2023. According to the results of the second quarter of the year, the volume of shipments was 44.6% lower than in the same period of 2022. The projected total sales volume, according to IDC in 2023, will only slightly exceed the results of 2017. It turns out that there is another failure of VR, this time in an attempt to stop being a niche product and become mainstream. However, in the same report, IDC analysts expressed clear optimism about the future of the VR device market. According to their forecast, in 2024, sales of VR headsets will not just stop declining, but will grow, and not by a few percent, but by almost half at once, by 46.8%. The main driver of this growth, according to IDC, will be the appearance on functionally updated devices from Meta and ByteDance, another prominent player in the VR headset market, manufacturer of Pico series devices, as well as the release of the augmented reality headset applevisionpro. Indeed, the Apple company presented a surprise to the stagnating industry with its product. Apple has raised to the concept of spatial computing to its marketing flag, which involves the creation of technologies that combine physical and digital elements. This is the key difference between Vision Pro and most previous VR and AR headsets. Its design, on the one hand, places the user in the virtual space, and on the other hand, adds elements of the real world to it. If necessary, thereby solving one of the key ergonomic problems of VR, the inability to control what is happening in the surrounding world in the moment of using the headset. The fact that just a few days before the announcement, Meta promised to release its own version of the headset with similar mixing capabilities. Meta Quest 3 Reality may indicate that developers are betting on spatial computing as a possible key to turn VR from a niche product into a mass one. It is difficult to draw a conclusion about the potential success of Vision Pro. On the one hand, sales turned out to be better than some analysts expected. The entire initial stock was quickly sold out. However, this in general confirms only that Apple has a lot of loyal fans who are ready to spend $3,500 on a new product of the company. On the other hand, many reviewers say that the device has the same negative features as many of its predecessors. After an hour and a half of use, the eyes get tired and the neck starts to hurt. However, the future of Vision Pro will be influenced not by the number of positive and negative reviews, and not by how quickly you get tired in the headset, but by the number of applications that Apple will be able to offer users. In other words, the company's ability to motivate developers to release software for their headset. A few days ago, the company finally partially answered this challenge, stating that more than 600 applications specifically designed for the use with the headset will be released for Vision Pro. But what kind of applications there will be, and when they will be released, is not yet clear. Well, as is usually the case with first-generation products, several questions has already appeared about the headset. For example, it's great to watch movies in it, but how do you make a movie theater for friends? It is proprietary power connector justified, which makes it impossible to connect the Vision Pro directly to Mac? Could there have been a slightly larger field of view? In general, whether Apple has managed to shake up the VR market, We'll find out in the next year or two. Another key to the mass dissemination of technology should be non-gaming VR application scenarios. By the way, there are already a lot of them. Firstly, Meta does not give up trying to develop the topic of metaverses. In September, she opened access to her Horizon Worlds platform for mobile devices and from a browser, and in addition she seriously updated the panorama of the virtual world. All these are clear signs that despite the failures at launch, the company is not going to abandon the idea of new VR-based internet. VR also penetrates into various industries far from the IT world. For example, Mercedes-Benz has found several ways to use virtual reality at once. Firstly, the technology is used for engineering purposes. Virtual reality allows the company's specialists to work together on digital twins or virtual models of various systems for new cars. By experimenting with 3D models, engineers significantly accelerate the development and testing of prototypes, and VR makes working with the model more convenient. In addition, the company has launched its own virtual showroom, where customers can get acquainted with the company's model range without leaving home. Audi has a similar product. VR has considerable prospects in healthcare. For example, in early December, XR Health, a company specializing in the development of medical solutions based on spatial computing, launched a VR product that allows patients suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder to alleviate its symptoms through virtual reality exposure therapy. With it, the patient is placed in a safe and controlled environment in a virtual copy of the situation in which the psychological trauma was received, and learns to respond correctly to the triggers that cause him suffering. Virtual reality has found its place in educational programs and trainings for medical professionals. For example, according to the results of recent VRT survey, 77% of more than 200 surveyed medical organizations in the United States have already used or plan to use VR for their purposes. With the help of virtual reality, doctors are trained to work with complex equipment, such as robotic surgical instruments, and also trained to respond to various situations that they may encounter during work. In particular, they learn how to delicately inform patients of bad news about diseases or correctly respond to emergency situations that may arise in the hospital. In retail, VR is already being used by some brands to create virtual showrooms for their products. IKEA has them, Ralph Lauren, Gucci, and a number of other companies. In the real estate industry, VR is used for remote demonstration of apartments and houses. For example, Matterport provides access to such VR tools. According to the same principle, VR helps architects design houses that are most suitable for customers. This engine, Iris VR, Inside VR, and others are developing products that allow this to be done. In addition, virtual reality is already finding applications in marketing, social communications, entertainment, for example, immersive sports broadcasts, and many others. Having originated as a kind of digital entertainment, virtual reality is now turning into a new form of interaction with information and content. It is increasingly finding practical application in people's lives. So far, VR has not become the new equivalent of a TV or microwave oven, technologies that are available in almost every home today, but with the proliferation of solutions that support mixed reality, VR has an increasing chance of doing so. Guys, thank you for watching this video, thumbs up, subscribe, and see you soon!